but many think the number is much higher. For more information on this story and what Angie Thompson and others are doing to help, log on to our website at dateline.msnbc.com.
Coming up, a student whose young life was a struggle because of kidney trouble. A teacher with a big heart and a kidney she was willing to give him.
Michael had a problem, and I had the potential to be able to help him, and I was going to try.
A lesson in caring. Plus, it was a disease that hit her and her family hard.
This is something I've got, and I'm going to go and fight it with everything I got.
But it would also take an incredible gift from her sister to help her pull through. Could she do it? Those stories when our Dateline special, Angels Among Us, continues.
You want me? He's got to be a killer. Here I am, baby, crisp, juicy chicken just for you. Decked out in tomato and lettuce, I'm KFC's Twister, and I'm no. With my creamy, tangy pepper sauce, I'll give those taste buds something to do. They twist me round and round, all snuggly. Look what I gotta go through to be beautiful. Oh, now here I come, baby, with wedges and drink, just $2.99. Straight from KFC to you. Now, how good is that?
Hey!
Sorry. It's just too fun to drive. The all-new Civic Coupe from Honda. Amazing. The truth.
Dad,
Hmm?
can we go eat at Friendly's?
Well, did you clean your room?
Uh-huh.
Did you do your homework?
Yes, I sure did.
Did you rebuild my carburetor?
Yep.
Did you do my tax return?
Kids will do anything for a trip to Friendly's because we have the best kids menu filled with the stuff kids love. And each kids meal comes with a free sundae. Every time, each day. And now for a limited time, all kids meals are just $2.99.
Coming up on our Dateline special, they respond with their hearts, offering care and concern in times of trouble. Just a few months ago, Dateline brought you the story of Van and Shirley Hughes, a couple who opened their lives and their home to adopt 10 children living in despair after being abandoned by their mother.
We're talking about a future here. 10 lives that can have a drastic change depending on what you decide to do.
Tonight, another family with decisions to make that could change lives and a precious gift from sister to sister. But would her sister's help be enough to save her? The story coming up on Dateline.
6 weeks before one of the biggest games of my life, I felt a strange pain in my chest. What my doctor found was my toughest opponent yet. 3 of my arteries were more than 90% blocked. After recovering from surgery, lowering my high cholesterol became more important than football. Later, I was fortunate enough to coach my team in the biggest game of the season. Along with a healthy diet and regular exercise, taking Zocor every day helps significantly lower my total cholesterol.
Zocor is a prescription medication and is not right for everyone, including women who are nursing, pregnant, or may become pregnant, or people with liver problems. Your doctor may do blood tests to check for liver problems, because serious side effects can result. Tell your doctor about any muscle pain or weakness you experience while on Zocor and about any medicines you are taking.
When diet and exercise are not enough, talk to your doctor about Zocor. Take care of yourself. It's your future. Be there.
For people who are extremely demanding, the new Schick Extreme 3. Triple blade performance, pivoting action, a perfect grip. And best of all, after a whole bunch of great shaves, you just serve up another one, which is extremely convenient. The new Schick Extreme 3.
Great place. I like your neighborhood.
Thanks.
Oh,
Sorry.
The Mitsubishi Galant, ranked the #1 sedan by Car and Driver. Need one?
90210 is sadly over. Melrose Place is off the air. Wednesday nights, where will you get your fix?
Go on, give your new mom a hug.
From producer Eros Spelling.
Don't. My makeup.
Titans premieres Wednesday on NBC.
Dateline Sunday. Tom and Deborah's insurance agent had a can't-miss investment, but they lost everything. Could you be next? A hidden camera investigation. Dateline Sunday, 7/6 Central.
Chase all new with Titans Yasmin Bleeth and Jackie Chan. NBC tonight.
From our studios in New York, here again is Stone Phillips.
Any parent knows the importance of a good teacher, the kind who becomes a mentor, maybe even a friend, the kind who sends your child home excited about what they've learned that day. Well, tonight, meet a teacher who sent one student home having learned something his parents never dreamed of, that she could save their son's life. Here's Bob Dotson.
Take the corner! Go Marshall!
For as long as she can remember, Jane Smith has wanted to be a teacher.
I want my first period class to stay and help the coach pick up.
To see her in action at Max Abbott Middle School in Fayetteville, North Carolina, is to see somebody totally in love with what she does.
Well, when the earthquake of 1906 happened, it shifted the land.
Jane
and all
has
of that
been a teacher more than half her life because, she says, the students give her so much. But this past school year, a gift she gave to one of them, a student she barely knew, created an unusual bond, one that transformed not only the two of them, but everybody involved in this story.
It was a gorgeous day like this. Sun was shining. It was hot.
The beginning of the school year. Jane Smith stood watching some of the boys in her 8th grade science class tossing a football. 15-year-old Michael Carter scrambled for a pass.
He had personality and he had spunk, but he didn't have the energy.
Michael kept missing the ball.
And I said, you know, if you pull up your pants, you could probably make that catch.
But it wasn't that simple. A lot more than baggy pants was keeping Michael Carter from catching that football.
And he said, I can't. And I said, why not? And he said, because I'm on dialysis. I said, no, you're not. He said, yeah, I am. I need a kidney. And I said, well, I have two. Do you want one?
You'd only known Miss Smith for a couple of weeks. A virtual stranger. What'd you think of this offer?
I was amazed at first.
He had hoped that her offer was not built on whim and subject to afterthought. He had suffered enough pain. Michael Carter has struggled with kidney disease since he was a toddler. Born with one kidney that didn't work at all, another that worked poorly. By the time he entered Jane Smith's class, he was undergoing dialysis 3 times a week. His mother, Deborah, and stepfather Richard Evans say Michael tried not to show the world his pain, but they knew better.
He took it kind of hard, you know, because he always used to tell me, I just want to be normal. He would tell me, you know, Mom, I'm different. I said, yeah, Michael, but, you know, you just have a temporary setback right now. And it was kind of hard for him.
Friends and family tried to help. Michael's parents and 6 other relatives offered to donate kidneys. None matched.
All I could do was pray for him and pray that God would place us in the hands of people that can do a little bit more for him than I could do.
Jane Smith thought she might be able to do a little bit more.
He asked me what my blood type was. And so I said, well, I'm not sure, but it's on my Red Cross card. Let me go inside and check. So he went to his locker. I went to my purse. I brought it out. I went to his locker and held it up in front of him and said, what do you want it to be?
And what'd you say?
O positive. Because mine was O positive, too.
I said, well, it's O positive. Will that work? And he got this big smile, and he goes, yeah.
So Michael comes home, and he says, guess what, Mom? I think we found a solution. What'd you think?
I said, yeah, okay, Michael. Yeah.
You didn't believe him?
No, honestly, at the time, no. And for some odd reason, I got to, kind of thinking in my mind. I was like, no, but it kind of stuck there in my head.
Michael Carter may seem quiet and shy, but he was patiently persistent, constantly pushing his mother to pursue Jane Smith's offer.
He kept after you?
Yeah, he did. He said, Mom, you gonna call? I said, yeah, Mike, I'll call him.
When Michael's mother called you, what did she say?
Miss Smith, this is Deborah Evans. This is how she starts every conversation.
She said, oh, hi, how you doing? I've been expecting your call. She said, well, what I need to do.
Michael's mother told Jane to get in touch with the University of North Carolina hospitals in Chapel Hill so doctors could determine if the teacher's kidney would be a match.
October 4th, I went for the blood work and the 24-hour urine. And then...
And so, the testing began.
What's in this for you? Why did you do this?
Because it was a problem that I could fix. Teachers see children every day that it breaks your heart. They live in foster care where they're neglected. They don't have the shoes that they need to play on the basketball team. They break their glasses, and there's no money to get them fixed. Michael had a problem, and I had the potential to be able to help him, and I was going to try.
But would this try work? The next few weeks were spent crossing and recrossing the unguarded border between fear and hope. Finally, all the medical tests came back. Would Jane's 43-year-old kidney fit a 15-year-old boy? Would hers be the perfect match? Hope won. Michael and his parents believe this world does not have words to describe such moments. To them, what Jane Smith offered was the grace of God.
Have you ever been in a moment where you just wanted to run by yourself, and get out and outside and just holler and scream and say, thank you, Jesus,
Oops, my point.
But before a victory was possible, somebody else had to be consulted. Wick Smith, Jane's 13-year-old son. He is just 2 years younger than Michael and goes to the same school.
I thought she was joking at first. I wasn't real sure that she was being serious.
After all, Jane is a single mom. She did not tell Wick about her plans until after she knew for sure that she and Michael were a match.
So when she offered Michael her kidney, what did you think?
I was kind of questioning, is there any other way that this can be fixed?
I told him that Michael had a problem. Michael needed a kidney, and that it looked like I was going to be able to give it to him, and that I wanted to do that because it would not hurt me. I would go on and live my life just as if I had both of them, and Michael could go on and have the life that he deserves.
That's a tough decision. A single mom? You have a son of your own?
I really knew deep down that nothing would happen to me. I knew that God would take care of me.
When you found out your mom was serious about this offer, did you try to talk her out of it?
Mom's one of those that when she makes up her mind, she's not going to change it. Unless you really, really have a strong reason for her not to.
Did you think of some strong reasons?
Not really.
Then finally, we were ready for December the 9th, and this is all the surgical pre-op.
So at last, everybody was ready for the kidney transplant surgery. Jane, Michael, their families, and at UNC hospitals, their transplant surgeons. The date was set. Just 1 week before Christmas. Heartbeats clocked the time. For Michael Carter, who'd been waiting and praying for a kidney nearly 2 years, this moment was a cherished Christmas gift.
And you were ready to have it happen? And then what happened?
I got an infection.
And there were no words of comfort that could erase the fact that he didn't have his kidney for Christmas.
The West Wing premiere is coming. Where were you when the shots rang out? Did you really see what you think you saw? Who gave the signal to pull the trigger? Where will you be when the answers are finally revealed? The 2-hour season premiere of the Emmy-winning best drama, The West Wing, Wednesday on NBC.
Rise and shine at 5 a.m. with us.
Coming up on 22 News First Look Wednesday morning, Anita.
Marion and Brian, watch us for local reaction to the first presidential debates. 22 News is in Boston. We'll have all the highlights. And we all know that exercising is good for getting in shape. On our Health Watch, how it can also help those with high blood pressure.
And our floral expert will show us how to add some aquatic life to your greenery.
Don't forget the 5-day forecast tomorrow morning at 5 a.m.
There are some things you can't invent, some things Hollywood can't script. Arrest and Trial. From the creator of Law & Order comes a new kind of crime drama, hosted by Brian Dennehy. Gripping real-life stories told by the people who were there.
Ice wouldn't melt in her mouth. That's how cold she was.
Arrest and Trial. We're not making this up. Weekday afternoons at 4 on 22 News. News at work becoming a little impersonal? Make WWLP.com your home page and track your local news, weather, and sports. The stories that affect your hometown, delivered right to your office. Hey, it could keep you out of a jam. When you can't tune in, log on and work smarter with WWLP.com.
The presidential debate at 9. Reaction and analysis tonight at 11.
Coming up, after years of struggle with kidney trouble, a teenage boy finds an unlikely angel, his science teacher, willing to give him one of her kidneys and hopefully a normal life. But medical complications would delay the life-saving surgery.
So what'd you do?
I kept praying every night.
His teacher remained committed to answering those prayers.
We need to let our heart do the talking. And when you see someone out there who's hurting, or who has a need, or who's lonely, then reach out to that person and make them feel the warmth of a human touch.
But with time running out, can he hang on long enough for her gift of life? Coming up on Dateline.
Chris was like my shadow. She was always there. For 3 years, she'd drive down from her job at Kraft to tutor me. She'd be there tutoring for 2 hours. You know, reading, math, social studies. She was all over everything. My grades went way up.
The Philip Morris companies, including Kraft Foods, give back to our communities through corporate contributions and volunteerism.
She was cool. How many tutors do you know who will stick with a person for that long time?
In the last 40 years, Philip Morris has given hundreds of millions of dollars to programs, like Chicago's Off the Street Club, that make a difference in people's lives.
When she left to have a baby, I told her I hoped she'd have a daughter. She already did a great job helping to raise a son.
Working to make a difference. The people of Philip Morris.
This mystery of the missing $500,000 must be cleared up, and somebody here knows where it is. Plum? Oh, the place answers are you?
I'm Gus.
What do you think this is? Some sort of a game?
Yeah, got it in the Sunday paper.
Clear up the Sprint PCS Clue mystery and you could win $500,000. Get your game piece and great savings in your newspaper and at participating retailers.
Love is in the air, everywhere I look around. Love is in the air, every sight and every sound. Love is in the air, love is in the air.
Looking good, babe.
Love is in the air.
Are the candidates telling you the truth? How can you separate fact from fiction? Find out from the Truth Squad after the debates and up to the election. Plus, the undecided. Americans who will make or break this election. From now until they cast their ballots, see how voters make up their minds. The Undecided on the networks and stations of NBC News. You're watching Dateline, winner of 4 Edward R. Murrow Awards for excellence in broadcast journalism. Here now is Stone Phillips.
Returning to our story, Jane Smith, an 8th grade science teacher, has volunteered to risk her life to give a kidney to her student, Michael Carter. But after months of agonizing waiting, Michael has gotten an infection and the surgery has been postponed for weeks, maybe months. Can Michael's body and Jane's resolve last that long? Once again, Bob Dotson.
Tell me what your company did with your money.
We got 2 hotels.
Fate placed Jane Smith and Michael Carter, a 43-year-old science teacher and her 15-year-old student, into the same classroom. Fate was now linking them on an incredible personal journey. When the transplant surgery was postponed in December, doctors at UNC hospitals in Chapel Hill say it was hard to tell who was more disappointed. Michael, who couldn't get his new kidney, or Jane, who could not give hers away. Doctors say she met the problem with a single-mindedness that blotted out everything but the challenge.
I think all of our donors have a high level of commitment to donate part of their body for transplant. No matter how much good you want to do, that's still a big commitment you're making. And with the hurdles that we had to go over in Jane and Michael's case, every time we had to come and tell her that the case was being postponed or canceled, her commitment continued to soar. It was just, all right, well, we'll just have to reschedule. You just tell me when he's better.
People that come up to you and they want to donate a piece of their body to help somebody else are just remarkable people. And Miss Smith was just more remarkable.
To surrender her promise would leave Michael's life as it is, and not as it should be. After his big disappointment at Christmas time, Michael's health gradually improved. Surgeons rescheduled the operation for late January. Once again, Jane went to the hospital, waiting all day. Then heard news that landed in her stomach like a swallowed rock. Michael was sick again.
I do remember seeing him and thinking, oh, he is so frail. I do hope that nothing happens to him before we can do this surgery.
So what'd you do?
I kept praying every night.
Someone had asked me, you know, what is faith? And
the Evans family still had faith in Jane Smith's commitment to their son. She never wavered from her spur-of-the-moment promise. Michael's faith never faltered either.
Was there a point around this time of year that you thought this was not going to happen, even though you hoped that it would?
Mm-mm.
Never lost hope? You a strong guy.
Michael's strength impressed his doctors. He was not weakened by all the hope he had burdened himself with.
He's a teenager, but he's not the typical teenager in the sense that he was never mopey. He may have complained to his mother, why me, but, he maintained a positive affect most of the time when we saw him and had to tell him the bad news. And this is crushing news to a kid that just wants to get on with his life.
Once again, the surgery had to be rescheduled. This time, April 14th, 8 months after Jane Smith had made her unusual offer. For the 3rd time, the teacher prepared for the biggest test of her life. Finally, Michael was healthy. Dr. Mark Johnson made several tiny cuts just large enough to insert a small video camera and reach in with thin instruments like these to pull out Jane's left kidney.
This is the bag that we catch it in, and we push it open like this, and then you can see that there's a bag on the inside. And then with this bag, we can scoop the kidney into the bag, and then pull it on back out again through the incision.
Later, Jane would say the surgery was easier than giving birth. But the doctors were concerned. How well would Jane's kidney work in Michael?
Michael was making good amounts of urine by the time he woke up in the recovery room. So we were real, that's the ideal way to start your day if you're doing a kidney transplant.
Out of the strain of doing, into the peace of done.
We thank you. Thank you, Lord, for the miracle.
Yeah. The Evans family knows some teachers give special gifts that can last a lifetime.
Yes.
Michael's teacher gave the gift of life itself.
My prayer always is that, Lord, whatever she wants to accomplish in life, bless her.
Having that prayer answered is the only way the Evans believe they could ever repay Jane for what she did.
What could you tell someone that just gave your son a second chance at life?
Well, the Evans feel obligated to me. I don't feel that they are. I just wanted Michael to have, in this life, an opportunity to have life.
Now that he's been given a second chance, Michael Carter can't get enough of life. But he's not cured.
Any troubles with your ears, with hearing?
Michael has to be closely monitored to make sure his body doesn't reject Jane's kidney. Every day he must take a slew of medications. Doctors say some teenagers who've had transplants often don't appreciate the gift, are not conscientious about taking the medicines that help keep them alive. Not Michael.
Instead, Michael says, oh, this is wonderful. I take the medicines, my kidney works, I don't need dialysis, I get to go to school, I get to play ball and feel good about it. And that's a treat. That's a treat.
Speaking of playing ball, Michael got back on that football field, baggy pants and all. And with Miss Smith watching, he finally made that catch. Jane says it's all the payback she needs.
A lot of us measure our good intentions by the people we see that actually carry out something extraordinary. Are you an extraordinary person in your mind, or are you like us?
Well, I'm like you, but I've got one kidney now. I'm just a 43-year-old woman who was in the right place at the right time with the right frame of heart.
Today we gather to plant a dogwood tree in honor of Miss Smith.
The 8th grade class planted a tree the other day honoring Jane Smith. At its base, these words that Helen Keller wrote.
The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen nor touched, but are felt in the heart.
The kind of words that sum up what Jane Smith is all about.
We need to let our heart do the talking. And when you see someone out there who's hurting, or who has a need, or who's lonely, then reach out to that person and make them feel the warmth of a human touch.
Coming up next, they were sisters with a special bond. One needed the other in order to live, but it wouldn't be easy.
What was her decision? Go for it.
Could they beat the odds? Plus, has your life ever been touched by the good works of an angel? Dateline's Question of the Week, when our Dateline special, Angels Among Us, continues.
Cooper! Cooper! Yo, Cooper!
It's a law of physics. The only man on the plane with a cold will sit next to you. Thank goodness for Kleenex tissues. Kleenex Cold Care has 3 germ-blocking layers to help keep germs where they belong.
You've always trusted us with your letters, your bills, your packages. Now, we're bringing the security and confidence of the real world into the virtual one. Introducing the U.S. Postal Service's e-bill pay. Enroll now to receive, pay, and send your bills online with the service you already know and trust.
The world just picked its #1 anti-wrinkle cream, Nivea Visage Q10 Wrinkle Control, with your skin's own anti-aging coenzyme Q10.
Wrinkles, out of here. Arrête le temps. Thank you, Q10.
Only from Nivea.
I was born hungry, but I was born Italian, so that never happened again. Tonight, we had the perfect meal for us. Olive Garden's never-ending pasta bowl. You pick any of their special pastas, and you get all the free refills you want. Ooh, spaghetti with meat sauce, fettuccine Alfredo, you name it. The bowls keep coming until you say, ooh, wait. And the same for salad and breadsticks, all for $7.95.
I'm gonna eat it all.
That's because of now. Nobody's ever heard this guy say one.
I love this place.
Olive Garden. When you're here, your family.
Every year, we send critics our shows, just to see what they say. This year, critics are calling Ed the season's best hour. Rolling Stone calls it the hottest new show. Entertainment Weekly gives it an A. And TV Guide calls Ed a true original, the season's best new series.
Who thinks Ed's cool?
Come see what people love about a lawyer who bought a bowling alley. Ed premieres Sunday at 8/7 Central on NBC.
From our studios in New York, here again is Stone Phillips.
A medical crisis, a child in trouble, enough to test any family's faith and courage. But for the people in our next story, there's one more bond about to be tested, the love and devotion of two sisters. Will each of them be able to conquer fear and pain for a chance at life and a relationship closer than they ever imagined? Here's Dawn Pertangelo.
Snapshots and moments that will last a lifetime.
You don't do anything but assume the best for your children. You hope and you worry, but you don't expect the dark side.
At that point, reality hit, and I basically held her, and it was pretty tough.
Sarah Kappenberger, the baby of the family, the third child, cuddled and coddled by her parents.
She was a pistol.
She was never, ever sick. She was really a healthy child.
But when she was just 13, Sarah's life drastically changed. In the next few years, she would have to tap into a deep inner strength, a strength that would often amaze doctors and somehow keep her in the running, even when she was counted out.
When did Sarah first begin to feel as though something was wrong? We actually were in Hawaii. She complained of terribly swollen lymph glands, but she didn't have a fever.
When the Kappenbergers returned home to McLean, Virginia, Sarah had a battery of blood tests. That's when her parents heard the diagnosis, leukemia.
You feel like the bottom just dropped out. But you still don't know where you're headed.
Sarah had a very aggressive kind of leukemia, and without a bone marrow transplant, had only a 30% chance of surviving. Even as she lost her hair to chemotherapy, her defiance remained 100%.
This is something I've got, and I'm going to go and fight it with everything I got. She was like a freshman.
Her best weapon turned out to be older sister Jennifer, a perfect bone marrow match. Over the Christmas holidays in 1992, the two sisters were interviewed about what they hoped would be a perfect, life-saving gift.
I just want my little sister better. Yeah.
At first, it seemed the transplant was only making Sarah's condition worse. Her liver began shutting down. Even simple things like swallowing were excruciatingly painful. Yet her steely spirit gave her doctors hope.
She was the most positive, strong-willed patient that I've ever seen. She knew that she was going to beat this.
And doctors thought she had. After 6 months, all her might paid off. It seemed the transplant had worked with the help of medication. Sarah, though, had counted on something that couldn't be bottled.
There's nothing stronger than the love in your family, and
there's no greater power or greater medicine than that.
Okay. Well, I know Sarah's colorful caps became her victory crown. She was back at school, enjoying being a regular teenager again. But it wouldn't last. A year after checking out of the hospital, there was a foreboding. The all-too-familiar bumps and bruises were flaring up again. Then, confirmation. This time, the leukemia had spread to her spinal cord. It seemed Sarah was facing an almost certain death sentence. She had two grim choices: have more chemo and survive a few months, or take painkillers and die comfortably at home. But Sarah was not a quitter.
Sarah screamed no, over and over and over again. Sarah screamed in the most desperate cry.
While Sarah refused to accept the inevitable, her parents were devastated. Then, her doctors offered one more option. Sarah could have another bone marrow transplant. But at the time, performing 2 transplants on one person was rare. In fact, it had never been done at Sarah's hospital. Her chance of surviving, to say the least, was slim.
The risk of death for Sarah Kappenberger was very, very real. We were concerned that if she went through a second transplant, that she would experience fatal complications.
It was a huge gamble, and a choice only Sarah could make.
I kind of knew what her decision would be.
And what was her decision? Go for it.
And so, on St. Patrick's Day, 1994, Sarah had her second transplant. Her mother, her biggest cheerleader, kept a journal.
Sarah is very strong. She is tough and so cooperative and grateful. I love you, Sarah. You're a treasure.
The second time around was more emotionally draining for Sarah, yet she continued to fight on, determined to be one of the few to survive 2 bone marrow transplants. And to the joy of her family and to the surprise of doctors, Sarah Kappenberger made it.
I was still waiting to fall in love for the first time, and there's so many firsts that I hadn't experienced yet that I wasn't going to be robbed of.
I think there's one major something that always is responsible for medical miracles. We only help.
Only a year after her second transplant at age 15, Sarah competed in a triathlon for cancer survivors. Now a senior at Duke University in North Carolina, Sarah is also a best buddy to other leukemia patients.
So I'm on my own tonight, then?
I think so.
6 years of cancer-free living have almost erased any chance of a relapse. And everyone, doctors, her family, and especially Sarah, has learned the power of one person's will to live.
Medical miracle may sound cliche. Is it to you?
In the end, medicine didn't have the only answer. There was something else going on.
You might be given the slimmest chance in the world, but you've still got a chance, and you should take it.
Coming up next, do you believe angels have been at work in your life? It's Dateline's Question of the Week, when our Dateline special, Angels Among Us, continues. Who can bear ordinary toilet tissue? When they're Charmin. The news is really getting around. That's because Charmin's unique cloth-like tissue gives you that comfortably clean feeling. A Charmin Clean. Now that feels good. This Friday, meet the parents.
You know, Greg's in medicine, too. What field?
Nursing.
Not a lot of men in your profession, are there, Greg?
Critics are calling it, hands down, the funniest movie of the year.
He even taught him to use the potty.
Peter Travers of Rolling Stone raves, it's hilarious, impossible not to laugh. It's laugh out loud funny.
Have you had premarital relations with my daughter?
No. Meet the Parents, rated PG-13, at theaters Friday.
Got a big shopping list? Hey, who doesn't? Well, bring it to Big Kmart during Dollar Days and enjoy some big-time savings. Bounty paper towels are as low as 87 cents each. Comfortable supersized pillows are 2 for $7. GE light bulbs are 4 for $4. And family collection towels are 4 for $9. Hurry and get big savings throughout the store.
During big Kmart Dollar Days, you shop, you score. Introducing NBCI.com. Come on. One site that has exclusive technology so you get the most relevant search results. From music, to travel, to health advice, to whatever you need. At NBCI.com, you'll spend less time searching and more time finding. NBCI.com, your agent on the web. What you want, when you want it. NBC Wednesdays, Victoria Principal, Casper Van Dien, Jack Wagner, and Yasmin Bleed, Titans. Premieres Wednesday on NBC.
Coming in the West Wing premiere.
Multiple gunshots were fired, and it's unknown at this time whether any injuries were sustained by the president or members of the White House staff.
The Emmy-winning drama returns. Find out who's been hit in the 2-hour season premiere of The West Wing. NBC Wednesday, 9/8 Central.
From our studios in New York, here again is Stone Phillips.
And finally tonight, do you believe there are angels who touch our lives? It's Dateline's question of the week.
Whether we find it in the beauty of nature, the Bible, or some other source of spiritual inspiration, believing in a higher power is something nearly all Americans share. But what about angels? How many of us believe that somewhere up above, angels are watching over us, helping us out from time to time here on Earth? Dateline asked 507 Americans whether or not they believe that angels really exist. 17% said no, but an overwhelming 79% said yes. Of those who answered yes, we asked if they believe an angel has ever played a role in their lives or looked out for them in some way.
I don't think I've ever necessarily been touched by an angel.
Yeah, I believe that my grandfather's an angel, and he's watching out for me.
I felt the presence just rub me or just calm me when I was really sad, and it really made me feel really good.
Turns out 19% said no, they don't think an angel has intervened in their life or watched over them. But 75% believe they have been touched by an angel.
That's Dateline for now. Join Jane and me and all of us at NBC News next time for another edition of Dateline. I'm Stone Phillips. Good night.
Dateline is a presentation of NBC News. More Americans watch NBC News than any other news organization in the world.